Daphne Thompson. Today she's going to be sharing the amazingness of the follow-up. So I recently had her as a guest on my Ignited Entrepreneurs podcast, and when she started talking about just the following up with potential clients and just the simple ways that we can do that, but just how effective it can actually be, I thought this is something we need to go deeper on, because I don't think enough people are really utilizing this. And I think when they think of the follow-up, they think about it, so after I invite somebody to a sales call or a discovery call or a conversation, now I'm supposed to just keep pestering them? And that is not at all what Daphne means by the follow-up. So I'm very excited to have her share this with you today. So Daphne, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and doing this with this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. It is such a pleasure to be part of the Ignite Entrepreneurs group and community. I always love connecting with different people and different backgrounds and different entrepreneurs. I personally always feel so ignited when we've had these sessions and we talk to one another, because you just create this can-do attitude, and afterwards you're ready to take on the world. And of course, if you implement, it usually does have a very positive effect on your business. So when we start off with the follow-up, I'm just going to dive straight into it. When we do the follow-up, there's 60% of all sales are only made on the 12th follow-up only. So if you think about this, if you think about you have not followed up with majority of your sales calls or even your customers, how much money are you leaving on the table? So Jessica, I'm going to ask you to please, can we use the whiteboard effect to write down? So we can do it like this. So I'd like you to please, if you have your calculators, everyone has got their cell phones out. So let's just pretend. Get your cell phone. Pretend that your monthly targets are roughly about 10K a month. Let's just say $10,000, that's your monthly target, right? So if you times that by 12, your yearly target is 120, right? That's what you should be getting into. Now, an income or a revenue of 120 is good. It's a good living. It's not massive. It's not wow, but it's a good living, specifically if you're a solo entrepreneur. That's a good income. Fine. Now, if you don't do the follow-up, how much money are you actually leaving on the table? So what's 60% of 120,000? That is $72,000 that you are leaving on the table. What could you do with an additional 72,000? Well, you could definitely send someone to university or to college. You could potentially get a big chunk of your dream house paid off, if not actually purchasing another property for investment. So what I'd like you to do now is write down on your list, when you've done this, what can you do with a potential $72,000 on just our limited target notes? What could you do with that amount? What is it how can this change your life if you actually implement some of that follow-up? Let's make it bigger. Let's do it now for 5 years. Because every one of us has been in business for at least 5 years. We know that in some sort of way. If you were an employee or if you were already an entrepreneur, putting your stats in place and putting your business together, what are the things that you could have done over a 5-year period with an additional 72K per year? Add it up, that is 360K that you've left on the table by just not following up. That's a whole house paid off in cash. That's the magnitude and the power of you when you're not following up. So now I want you to keep that number in mind. Keep all your whys in mind of what you've written down on what you could have done with that money first. Now I want to bring you back to a normal human relationship. What a lot of people miss out on is when they think follow up, it's like Jessica was saying, it's constantly pestering. It's like constantly in the inbox, constantly there. And to a degree, yeah, that's top of mind. That's branding. But there's a way to do that. So think about a normal human relationship. The first time when you meet someone, anyway, let's say now it's on Zoom or it is in a bar or a club. Let's hope COVID allows that very soon again. But firstly, when you meet someone, the first thing usually is you see them, right? It's eye to body. Then it's usually eye to eye. Then it was hand to hand. like maybe a fist bump now. And as the relationship progresses, it goes hand to shoulder, hand to back, and then whatever the thing is, how you create intimacy with that person. Okay, that's kind of the normal steps that happens. Now what happens online is people go and they bam you with all these things, and it's usually a lot about, well, I can do this, and I can offer you this, and I can do that to you, with you, or I can offer you the service. There's just so many things, but you usually turn it a lot on yourself. Like, I'm the hero in the story. I can do all these things. When you take that approach back to a normal human relationship, what's the thoughts go through your head? Gee, what an asshole. What a jerk. What an egotistical person that I don't actually want to do business with. That's the same thing that happens. So what we need to do is every single time you do something online or with your business, take it back to a normal human relationship. What is the logical next step in a human relationship? So now let's say you have been chatting with this person on at the bar, or at the club, or at a party, or wherever it is. You've been talking to this person, if it is online, and now you actually want to meet this person. Now you want to take it to the next level. What is that? In your business or in a normal relationship, usually that is, hey, this is really cool. Can I have your number? So that's the first touch point, right? That is, what in your business can you give as added value to that person in exchange for their contact details? So yeah, online, it's very much, it's your ebooks, it's a free webinar, it's groups like we're holding now, it is all these different aspects that you have in order to give value to that person in exchange for their contact details. A normal human relationship, it's just a fun conversation. It's, hey, do we click, do we vibe? That's kind of how it works. Jessica usually does these vibe checks beforehand, before we schedule anything, because this is important for her. She wants to get the right person in her community that will add value. And in our normal human relationships, we do the same thing, right? We have exactly the same approach. We go, hey, this is cool, yeah, and then afterwards we go, oh my freaking head, I'd never want to see that person again. Could she just not stop talking? Or we go, oh, that was amazing. Yeah, thanks, I got your number. So this is what we need to get into our business, that mindset of it is a normal human relationship. From business to business or B2C, both of them is a normal human relationship. You still have a normal person at the back of whoever makes the decision that needs to know, like, and trust you. That's how relationships work. Fine. Next step. Now you've got their number. Now you go to have a coffee or watch a game or do something together in business. Now that's when you start scheduling your sales calls, or you start selling your first product. So first product is usually entry level. It's usually very low ticketed item. When someone's placed something in your cart, do you have abandoned cart emails that goes out? Majority of the time, that is part of the follow-up. And if you've sent an abandoned cart email to the customer, statistically wise, 50% of those people would actually go back and purchase it. Simple tweak like that. Have an abandoned cart. Email at it. When you've had your first sales call with the person, how do you immediately after that, to apply the same principle, send them out? Do you send them an email to say, hey, thank you so much, it was amazing to meet you. I look forward to assisting you with XYZ to reach your goals in what is the thing that you want to. Normal human relationship. I know guys don't do that much, but girls do. After we've had a coffee, we go, hey, that was so much fun. Loved your nails. Whatever the comment is. Or, it was so much fun. Looking forward to the next one. Guys usually send some kind of 9-gag joke, but there is usually some sort of follow-up after they've had a good time with someone. So, again, what is the normal human relationship that you form with someone offline and that you can apply to your business? Right. Now we've had our first communication, we've had our contact information exchanged, we've had our perceived value exchange for the first time, and we had the first follow-up email or message or text right afterwards. Because now we need to get that person to be excited about this process. We need them to be excited about what it is that you're rendering. If you had a coffee with someone, you want them to be excited about this relationship, because either you need a new friend or you need it somewhere, but relationships are always based on a need. If it is a network that you want to get into. And it's not a selfish thing. This is really just, this is how human relationships work. Again, how do we do it online? When we get people excited about them, people make decisions on emotions. No one needs an Apple Mac. You don't need an Apple Mac, but you want it, right? Everyone wants Apple. Well, I do at least. But there is usually a more affordable option that you can go. But that's not how decisions are made. All decisions are made is based on some sort of emotional standpoint. So how do you get that person to be excited about your product and your service that you render? Just like a normal human relationship. How do you get that person to be excited about your new relationship? Can you cook together? What are the common interests that you share? Another big tip that a lot of salespeople need to be aware of is never sell from your own perspective. And what I mean about that is, for example, if you go into a normal human relationship and you tell someone, hey, I had this amazing experience at this and this snowboarding thing. And you just keep selling this snow vacation, and this person absolutely hates the cold. Is that going to work? Or if you go, oh yeah, no, I went to the beach, but it was so hot, it was a pebbly beach, my feet got hurt, I got sunburnt, it's like I had sunstroke the whole time, it was a horrible time. This person loves the beach. Never sell from your own perspective. If you believe something is overpriced, whoever you talk to is also going to believe that now. It's a subconscious message that you are sending to your specific clientele. So if you usually buy something on, for example, a payment plan, that's how you'll sell it too. So it's a mind shift that you need to make to never sell from your perspective. And that's part of the follow-up. When you follow up with someone, don't follow up from your perspective. Follow up from what the conversation was about, or their goals, their way of thinking, what interests them. You are never the hero in the story. Your customer, your client, is always the hero. Adjust your follow-up to what is interesting to them, not to you, to them. Sorry, so now we've got them from our initial introduction, wherever we met them, to our next section, which is some sort of value exchange to get their contact number or their contact details. You had your first conversation with them. Now you get them to be excited about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now it's time to get your core offering down. Now, what is your core offering? There's only 4 ways that any business anywhere can make money. The first one is either you need more leads. So if you can increase your leads, that assists you in growing your business. If you can increase your conversion rate, the actual sales that you make, of course, then you're making more money. There's more revenue coming in. The next 2 is very important, and this got to do with your actual business structure. Because now, the next way to make money is to increase the frequency that people purchase from you. So now we're looking at the offering. When you follow up with someone, you always start also going into what is the offering that you can have that is meeting the need of your customer. How do you meet the need that they have in your follow-up with increasing the frequency that they purchase from you? Alright, when you increase the frequency, can you make the product that you are selling currently smaller? The service that you're rendering, how can we increase that, or how can we break it up so that it is more services that you can render, but that does not cost you anything more? It doesn't mean add more services where you need to learn something new, or you need to purchase new type of investments in equipment or something else. What is it that you currently have that is your niche that we can break up in different services to increase frequency? The last thing that every business anyway can make money with is to increase the profit margin that you have on your clientele or on the product that they're purchasing or the service. When you do that, alright, now we start looking at your systems and your team. A lot of people is missing out on the actual operational debt that their team has on. How much do you have dead weight in your team? Is there someone that is just there literally for the paycheck and checks all the boxes but doesn't give a result on the outcome. That happens a lot too. So yeah, they're sending out emails, but are those emails converting? They're doing your social media posts. Are you getting engagement on them? Okay. They are just doing the admin. Alright? They're not, I can promise you they're doing that for 8 hours on a day. What else can they do? Are they just expanding the time of the tasks that they do in the time that they have? Can they contract it? How? These are the different things that you have to look up in order to increase the profit margin that you have on your clients. Is there different, or on the products that you're selling or the services? Is there different service providers that you can use? But these are the things, and that is how you work it also into your follow-up. We need to bring all these different aspects in your follow-up because that's your communication with your potential customer or clientele. Alright, so now people ask me quite a bit, like, how long do I do this? How fast after the meeting do I actually have to follow up with someone? I don't know. That's the truth answer. The real answer is, what does your audience do? How do they react? Have you tested this? Have you spoken to someone immediately after, 2 days after, 3 days after, 6 days after, 10 days after? What does your audience respond to? Majority, small ticketed items, immediately slam them. That's usually the case because it's in and out and it's a no-brainer purchase. So keep them in mind, keep them communicated. If it's a higher ticketed item, there's now different ways to do that too. A technique is, yes, to create urgency. Well, this is only valid for a certain period of time. There's only a limited amount of spots open for this. So that creates urgency. But again, how does your audience respond to this? Do they respond to immediate follow-ups? Do they respond to longer term? Are you selling homes? What is your product in your industry? Because that also affects the follow-up process quite a bit. Okay, now we've got that. Now let's look at the platforms that you're using to follow up. A follow-up is not only just an automated email that you send, even though those are very effective, and yes, it is very, very useful. But what other platforms do we have? Okay, we have calling. Do you pick up the phone and actually speak to the person? That's a big one. Personal connection is still very important. Do you send them text? Do you slide into their DMs? Have you connected with them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the platforms that you possibly can, wherever they are? Have you added value to their content? What do they post? The big thing here is, yes, you want to be top of mind, but you also want to add value to that person. Specifically, if it's higher ticketed items. So if you're adding value to those people, they usually start seeing you in a different light. Another thing is also that's very important is when you start adding value to your customers' feed, make sure that you stay an authoritative figure. If you start dropping and like, hey girl, that's so amazing, that's so cool, I had my kids over the other day and we did the same thing, like, you become peers. When you become peers, you lose authority. And then the perception in the customer that's buying from you is going, hey, but if she's my friend and she's the same level, how does she know more than I do? Remember to keep that authoritative level very prominent in you, but don't be an asshole. That's also the trick in this. So yeah, when you comment on things, that looks amazing. These are the books that I've read that could assist you on this topic. Or, hey, this is one of the things that I do in my personal life that helps with XYZ. Oh, you look absolutely stunning tonight. That's brilliant. Are you out to a business conversation or a business meeting? Whatever the thing is, always stay the authoritative figure in that situation when you add value to someone else's, your customer's actual feed. Alright. Now we have to look at when you do that. I think it's always good to set aside at least 30 minutes per day to actually just go through different feeds, have your targeted audience, specifically those that you've already had a conversation with, and add value to their feed. It is important to actually set time limits on this because it can suck the time out of you. This can be a rabbit hole that just doesn't have an end. So set a time limit for yourself when you do this, and yes, it is strategic, it's part of your follow-up strategy. Because if you add value on someone publicly, someone else reads it as well. Just remember that. So it can also be part of your marketing strategy. Their friends get notified of whatever you say. So be very careful of when you add value to someone else's feed and someone else's content, that you stay the authority, that you bring it back to brand, but it is still value to that person with their needs and their interests. Okay, now we've done this on Facebook, we've done it on Instagram, we've done it on TikTok, we've done it on LinkedIn. This is where we followed up on adding value to their things, to their feed. You've sent them connection messages also. When was the last time you sent them an inbox message? Inbox messages work just as well. What the beauty is of these inbox messages is now you can also send a video of you talking. Hey Jessica, it was so awesome to meet you today. I haven't spoken to you in a while, so I thought let me just check in, and actually checking in with you. I'd love to discuss your goals of ignite entrepreneurs a little bit better. Chat to you soon. That is a personalized follow-up that someone cannot just go over. It is a disruptive form of follow-up. It is a way that people feel personally connected with them. You took time to send a video message to them. You're not shy about showing your face. You're not hiding anything else. And it limits or it reduces the time period of actually creating intimacy with a client. It limits the time that it takes to build that authentic relationship with the person. Another way is a voice call, voice note. And you can do this lying in bed when you're just waking up as well. Hey Jessica, we haven't spoken in a while. How's your community growth going? Love to hear from you. Duff. Just normal conversation. Again, this is something that I would do with my friends. Is this something that you would do with your friends? Same thing. What is the normal, logical, human step that you would put in your normal life? Do the same thing online. Just change the messaging, of course. Alright, so now let's just recap. We have met them somewhere. We've added value to their perception. We've got an exchange of their contact details. We've had our first introduction or our first communication with them. Now we got them excited about what we are. Now we're doing the follow-up of 12 steps over all social platforms that we've had. We've added value to them on their feeds of what is interesting to them, whilst adding a link back to what your brand is and the value that you offer. We send them inbox messages. We've connected with them everywhere. We send them either a voice or a video call or just a text. That also works. I've had the other day, I spoke to a lady last year, November, for being a business consultant client. And we had a meeting and it was great. And she just kind of fizzled off a little bit. She didn't close. I kept adding value to her feed. This week, she posted something that she's going out for the networking event. I posted on her feed saying, hey, great opportunity to build relationships and expand your network. You never know what the next relationship can lead to and what breakthrough that relationship can have. Have an awesome time. 20 minutes later, I get a text message. Hey, Daph, I'm so sorry. I had some stuff happening over the past. Are you ready for a chat this week? That is also part of follow-up. Do not disregard the value that you're adding on other people's feeds, specifically online. Then, of course, again, when's the last time you called them? When is the last time you sent them a text? When's the last time you sent them an email? Don't bombard them and doing everything every day. What I do strongly suggest is get some sort of CRM. If you are a solo entrepreneur that don't have these softwares in place yet, use your phone with reminders. That works just as well. The point is to have a 12-step process over at least a month period. I would prefer that it pushes up to 3 months. Just at least 1 week that you actually have a communication with that person on something in order to get the responses. Get your steps that fits with your personality, that fits with your style, your business and your industry, that works with your specific target audience. And only you know that because you can test it. So bring up your steps. It could be step 1 is an immediate, after the meeting, a thank you text. Then it could be a follow-up email. Then it could be you are connecting with them on all the platforms. Then it could be an inbox message. Then it is value add on their posts. Then it is a voice call. Then it is a video call. then it is another follow-up email, then it's another text. So take all these different aspects that you have to create a connection with this person and these touch points that you have with your potential customer and your potential clientele, and break it up into all these things so that you can have a sustainable system that you follow up with. Spread it out. 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. Depends on how long. When it is immediate or when it's still fresh, usually a little bit shorter. The longer you don't get any feedback, spread it out a bit. Put them also into some sort of newsletter or something else that when you personally stop following up, that they still get this continuous reminder of you on a different feed. It also helps that they are connected with you on all the social platforms, because your stuff and the things that you say and the things that you are selling will still show on their feed. So there's a continuous reminder of who you are. That's how you build out the follow-up system. Now, I want to bring you back to those whys that you wrote down and the things that you want to do or could do with your 72K extra a year or your 360K over 5 years. Now that you've understand the process and what the follow-up could bring, I'd like to hear from you. Is this something that you would be able to implement in your specific strategy? And when you start seeing the results, what is it that you are able to do? Jessica, would you start?
Yeah, absolutely. Like all of a sudden it just feels really comfortable, which, was kind of a shift for me, right? It's like, cause I get so many messages from people, and they're not, like you were saying, they're not the way that you would approach somebody in person. They're just not. They're very in your face. Look what I have. Look at me, look at me, look at me. You need what I have to offer. And it's never about me. It's always about them. And so the way that you're presenting it feels just so much more comfortable, so much more like what I would do if I was talking to somebody at the grocery store, and I really like it. And the reason that I was so interested in this, having you come on, is because I think so many of us do have this negative feeling of like just sending the DM after the DM after the DM, and they're ignoring you and not getting anything. And it's like, how many times do I do this? And is this really going to get me anywhere? But the way that you've laid it out, it's like 72K is coming right at me. Like I can already feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, I like the idea though, because there's like an element of intention. Like I wrote down here, so for me, like one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is build this community. So keeping that in mind, that when I'm making these comments and adding value, that I'm keeping that kind of in the back end of my intention, right? It's like talking about community, finding the posts where they are talking about that, and making sure that I'm in there and part of that conversation.
Exactly.
Just sounds like so easy. Yeah, it sounds so easy, right? So
it is.
Yeah.
But the key is to add value to that person and what they are at and what their interests are, whilst linking it to brand quite a bit. You need to link everything that you're doing back to your brand and to your services without going, hey, this is what I do and you need this. I can offer you this. That's usually where you push people off. Then it's slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and you don't actually build a long-lasting relationship. That's the key. What we also need to be very careful of is that you don't stay in the friend zone. If you actually want to move into some sort of real relationship that's long-term and committed and that got more intimacy with someone, you do need to step out of the friend zone. How do you step out? With calls to action. And that is a valid point. Yes, add value. Everything that you do actually send to someone, 80% value, 20% sales. And the 20% sales is that part where you link it back to brand. It is where you tell them, hey, do you want to get on a call quick? What do you think about this? I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you see this opportunity rising for you? Is this something that you're challenged with? Let's get on a call. Here's my DM. Here's my one. Are you ready to get my link? That's the other thing. You usually ask people if they are ready for your booking link or for your stuff. Because again, these are micro commitments. We need them to have micro commitments continuously. Even in your follow-up, address the pain points. Usually when you've had a conversation with someone, you already know, yeah, but like my life is so busy. That's one that I get a lot. I'm so busy and I don't have time for anything. Cool. In your next follow-up, hey Jessica, I know you're super busy. I know that your kids take over your life. I know that you've got all these other things on. But that's also kind of why I think you need this. Remember, we had a conversation and your goals are linked to the time that you spend on this. By investing in yourself and by investing in the time that you need, you will reach your goals easier. But that's a decision only you can make. And a lot of times, it's not about the investment, the issue, and it's not about the time really. It's about the work that you need to put into it. So I'm ready to chat when you are. So addressing...
Yeah, that sounds very comfortable too, right?
It's still addressing the pain points that you have while sticking by being the authority in this industry and linking it back to what I do. But still being very, very intentional about this conversation that I'm having with Jessica. It's not about her cats and her dogs and everything else. It is about the pain points that she had that she shared with me. It is about the things that she needs. And I am the guide that is helping her through this pathway. And she can choose what success would look like and she can choose what failure looks like. But it's all her decision. The only thing that I'm doing is I'm presenting both to her. People are majority of the time a lot more prone to make a decision to avoid failure. Not to get success, but to avoid failure. So what in your industry is part of the things that people are usually scared of or fear-based, that you can incorporate in your follow-up to address their no's, to address their obstacles. People usually feel also a lot more comfortable when you let them say no in the conversation. So, Jessica, do you want the community to fail?
No.
Do you want just anyone in your community?
No.
So, do you want to spend all your time just on social media?
No, absolutely not.
Does this make you feel a lot more better? You've got the opportunity to actually say no. Because now it's open for us to actually go into the next step. Alright, well, I agree. I think that would suck. So what is the next thing that we could do? The first thing is, I think you should invest in actually making time for you to get this going. How do you feel about that? Are you open to...
Yeah, that feels good.
Are you open to an actual conversation about this? Are you ready for my booking link? That's a shift, but that's also what's part of the follow-up. We're building a relationship. We have her the opportunity to say no. It was value because it made her, it's a thought-provoking questions that she was like, no, I don't want that. No, that's not it. And what also, especially if you're very new and you're starting out with entrepreneurship, you just take on everyone and everything. It happens. I did the same thing. And it's draining, and you usually sit on the phone with so many just not your target audience and people that you don't want to work with and they never actually buy, that you never get to the people that you do want to buy because your energy is so drained by all these other things and these other people. So how do you get there? The richest truly are in the niches. A lot of the times there's a lot of business coaches, there's a lot of communities, there's a lot of doctors, there's a lot of nurses, there's a lot of plumbers, there's a lot of electricians. The industries and the work, there's a lot of. And there's a lot of people that do things similarly. It's true, it's business. The difference is though, you. You are the only person that have got your experience, your background, your point of view of things, and that will attract a lot of the right people that you need. Because I don't work well with people that don't take action. I have just realized I don't. A lot of entrepreneurs that are just starting out are so overwhelmed that they keep themselves so busy with breadcrumbs instead of actually starting baking a bread. They just keep on picking up all the small things, but they don't get to the real things. And those drain me too much. I don't like working with those guys. The perfect audience is someone like me that's ready to scale, that has got a little bit more in their audience, that have got a little bit of a little bit more of a push back on. They're usually at the point where they just want to start hiring a team, or that they already have a team, but they need to grow the team. The riches are in the niches. You are not everyone's cup of tea. You're not everyone. You are not there for everyone. Everyone is not your target audience. It can grow to something bigger, yes, definitely, but not right now. You need to have cash flow. You need to have increased profits. You need to have a system that works. And you need to get money in the bank. You don't do that with everyone. You do that with niches. Specialization. Who's the specific target audience that you have? And you need to learn to say no. And that's a very difficult thing, specifically in the follow-up. When you start following up and people are going more and more and more and more into it and they want to work with you and that, but they're out of your target audience, that's a very difficult decision to say no to. But if it doesn't aid the plan and the goal to where you're going, they're not for you. And in the long run, those people will actually thank you and give you better references because you said no. But it takes guts and a lot of power to get to that point. And bringing that strategy of saying no into the follow-up is very, very important. It's almost like a repelling system that you're putting in place. You repel the people that you don't want. You attract the people that you do. Rick, is there anything that has stood out for you so far?
Yeah.
Is something in specific, maybe?
Can you hear me, Paul? Come here a second. You're asking me a question, but I don't know how to unmute myself.
Oh, you are unmuted. We can hear you.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm not very technical. I had to call my son in to give me a hand. Yeah, I think I don't do hardly anything online. It's all person to person, but that is one of my problems is follow-up. So it's been kind of exciting to think that there's just so many different strategies to follow up and always keeping them first and thinking about what they want, not what you want. And take it slowly. You don't have to bombard them all at the same time. Build that relationship.
Very much. So may I ask, what industry are you in?
I'm in the air conditioning and air purification industry.
So do you do B2C or B2B?
Okay, what's B2C?
Do you sell straightly to the end consumer, like to someone in their house? Or do you sell to businesses and construction and development?
Oh, I do commercial and residential in the homes and commercial hospitals and buildings and just pretty much everything.
That's brilliant. So what you have is you've got a segmented audience. You've got people that you work on that will be basically on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all these type of things that you can communicate directly with and be in their communities to get their friends and stuff. And you have the commercial side, which is a little bit more strategic. And there's other strategies, but keep in mind that both of these people are still people. Both of the ways that they think and do are still people. The way that they make a decision slightly differs. That's the only big difference to that. So when you're working with a B2B, what is usually the follow-up that you put in? That's when you do commercials and hospitals and things like that. How do you usually follow up?
Oh, I'll send a letter to them, and then I'll get them on the phone. I'll try to find some people that are already in their arena and get referrals from them to get in the door, try to get past the gatekeeper. I can work with them. I do a lot of air conditioning service, so I'll got some relationships with them already, and I'll just try to get up to where I can get to the person to talk to that he can make a decision.
That's very key, to actually speak to the decision makers, because like it doesn't really help speaking to anyone else. You're just wasting your breath. So it's key to get to the decision maker. But now that you've had a conversation with the decision maker, how do you follow up with them afterwards?
That's the problem. I'm not doing much follow up with them, but we just belong to the commercial division on the air purification. So that's what we're working on right now, is getting into the hospitals and the buildings and the churches and all that stuff, which is key to protect and help people be safe in those environments.
Congratulations, that's exciting. It's a big leap. Congratulations.
Yes.
Sorry, so now that you've got, so it seems like your lead generation, the front end of how you're getting into the communities and how you're getting to the person is solid. So that's fine. But now when you've had the conversation, the next step of the follow-up is what we've said now. So what are things that you think of what we spoke about now you could implement immediately that wouldn't take a lot of time for you and that wouldn't be such a hassle for you?
Yeah, I think that's the key right now is to follow up immediately. I'll say I'm going to follow up or a thank you note or something. Mm-hmm. Let them know that I appreciate their time and it's important to me. I'll procrastinate, and next thing I know, when is the time frame? I'll be a week go by and then say, well, it's kind of too late now. I've lost opportunity, but
not really.
Probably not.
No, you haven't yet.
I built my entire business on referrals, and they usually call me, and I get in the habit of letting them always call me because I give good service, and next thing I know, I'm not really doing what I have to do to increase the the referral business on the end that the customers already have.
Do you maybe have a VA or an assistant?
I do have someone that does a lot of my paperwork and stuff now to take some of that burden off of me.
So I would suggest, because it does take a little bit of a mind shift, and if something is not natural to you, and if something is going to start being a hassle and an irritation, you won't do it. So there is something that your PA or your assistant can do in this. So a simple thing is creating a LinkedIn profile for you if you don't have. When you've met with the actual decision maker, ask your PA to go look for that person on LinkedIn, send them a connection request. And in that request, you already say, hey, it was such a pleasure to have met you here speaking about the air purification systems. I look forward to connecting soon. Rick.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
That's something that your PA can do immediately, that doesn't cost you anything, that doesn't take time of you, and that is an easy transition to this. The next step is to put also part of her actual of her job description to send a follow-up inbox message to that person. I would not immediately trust VAs or PAs to do value add on your customers' content. Only you can do that for now, so I wouldn't put that as a strategy immediately. We can work up to that. But now, in a week's time, for her to have a note in a system or the CRM to go, hey, we just met with John last week at JF Kennedy Hospital about the purification system. Please send him a message on LinkedIn and just make sure that he's there. Send him an article with it about the benefits of purification in hospitals. Hey John, we met last week. Thank you so much for the connection. I saw this article about purification in hospitals and how that it can increase the rate that people get healed or get better in hospitals by 20%. I thought this might be interesting to you. Looking forward to our next chat. What you've done there is you've created an interest base that is linked to your customer base and what would be interesting, and help him by telling them something that's linked to your brand and that you are still available and interest to that.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's also another thing that your VA can do, or your assistant immediately, that doesn't cost you anything.
How do you recommend following up with them without being a burden on them?
Exactly.
It's pretty valuable.
Mm-hmm. That's very important. What you just constantly need to do is set your side apart from all the other purification guys and all the other people that they see, specifically in commercial. Because yes, when you start doing relationships there, I know certain hospitals and commercial people usually have a database or a bidding structure, and if a certain amount of business has been given to one person, the rest won't be. So it doesn't monopolize the industry. And what you also continuously need to do is expand your business in the follow-up, not to avoid those things. When you are connected to John at this hospital, usually they are connected to 5 to 10 other people in the similar industry and a similar level of decision making in other places. The next step is then to go and have a look at who they connected with and apply the same strategy to them.
Okay.
So these are low-hanging fruit that you can do immediately, that's part of follow-up to expand your business and to increase those sales that you're making. 60% of all sales only made on the 12th follow-up. And with that amount of money in construction specifically, you can hire 20 assistants to do this. And you wouldn't even feel it.
Okay.
Does that make
sense?
I'm glad. Have you found this a little bit more valuable now in your specific industry?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I'm great. That's good. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just simple steps. Take the simple steps and do them often.
Yes. Yes, but
Don't
also...
make it complicated.
No complications.
Every time I started, I'll do something. It's like I got to rate the wheel every time. I got to have systems in place. There's already hundreds of hospitals and stuff using the product. It's already an operating room. We got something that no one else has. We got 300 documents on science and research on it, so it's a proven product. We're not seeing if it works, if it does work. So we just got to get it to the right people. We can't make a decision on something they don't know about.
Exactly. But no, also we don't want to become in that situation. We go, hey, I've got this amazing thing. You need this. This is what I do. Be careful of that, because then you turn into something that people usually don't like. They need to be the hero. How does this assist their need? It's a proven product. How does it affect their bottom line?
Go back to make it emotional on them.
Exactly.
Protect the people, protect the family.
Exactly. Switch it over to them.
Okay. That's good.
You are the solution. You are the guide. But they need to know this. So what is the pain points that you're addressing in them? So when you do the follow-up, have that in mind. It's 80% value, 20% sales. 80% value is how you address their content. How do you address their needs? How do you address what is important to them? Because from their perspective, you're just another contractor that's want to sell them something.
Right. What we really want to do is save their business or make them the healthiest place for people to walk into. Differentiate them from the other people.
Exactly.
Stuff. But I got to communicate to that properly.
That's the key. And that helps with the follow-up, because then you've got a system and you don't communicate everything at once, because then you overwhelm people. It is a little by little. So talk about the first instance of how this new solution with the proven studies assists them. How does it help their people? How does it allow them? How does it increase their status?
No, we have a lot of documents and so much stuff that would make your mind blow up. But we got to be careful about, like you say, put too much of that stuff out there, and then we look like we're overwhelming them with stuff that really doesn't mean anything. Little
by little. But if you've got so much content about this, increase your follow-up. Not just 12 steps, let's make it 24, make it 36.
Okay.
You can always increase the follow-up. My personal follow-ups is currently on 52.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. I get so excited because the product's got such good reports on it that I want to tell them everything.
Bring it down a little.
And it seems like the more you give them, the more they want. And then they spend the next year researching everything.
Exactly. Little by little. What you can also do is when you see them that are so excited, hey, I know you want to research everything. Would it be okay if I just send you the research that we've already done? Would that help you?
Okay.
That's another way. And a lot of times when I work with investors and they go do their due diligence, if I'm able to make that process so much easier for them by sending what I've already done, it usually helps them quite a bit. The same would help for them to cut down on the due diligence part, because now you're saving them on resources, and you're saving them on time, and you're saving them on cost.
Okay. That makes good sense.
The other thing is this documentation and this research that you've done in a logical format on your website with links to the actual places where they've done it? Because that will also help them a lot easier when they're on your website and you just say research about whatever the name of the product is, and have everything in a logical format that when someone is on your site, they already have all that information. That will help as well.
Make it as easy as possible when they get to it.
Exactly.
I always thought probably worried about putting them. I usually don't send people aside because I don't want to get so overwhelmed on it that I'd rather just send them stuff, like you said, a little bit at a time rather than get overwhelmed with everything.
But now we also speak to different personalities, because the person that usually have to do the analyticals and the due diligence side is the analytical, and they never have enough facts and they never have enough research. So for those guys, you need to have it online. For the decision makers, which usually your CEOs and those guys, they just need to have the small version of what is the highlighted, how much is it going to cost me, and how much money are you going to save me, and how long is it going to take. That's the only question that CEOs usually want to have answered. The due diligence guys and the CFOs, they want everything else.
Okay. Well, they want to know the bottom line, what's going to cost, what's the fact, how they're going to make more money because it's in there.
Yep.
More customers because it is in there. What's their bottom line?
That's the only thing that a CEO makes a decision on. The CFOs, they do the facts and figures. The marketing guys, they want to see how you color it in.
Okay. All right, that's very helpful.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate that.
Very welcome. Sheila, is your little one asleep yet? Can you join the conversation or not yet?
Yeah, definitely. I can. This was very, very insightful. Thank you so much. So my biggest takeaways, I would easily say I teach people how to sell. I just, only now I just realized that there's so many things that I'm not doing for my business as it is, So this was such a great eye opener, especially around the creating value, for them. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, to still remain authority and not to get out of the friend zone. I think that really, really changed things for me. It was quite too big for me. And just a sec, please.
No problem. I love what you said that, because that was one of the big aha moments earlier for me in my own career as well. I thought the more common ground that I could get with my potential customers, and the more I could be their friend, the more they'll hire me, and the less I got hired.
Yeah.
Because I became their peer, and that's not how it works.
Yeah, you're so right. You are so right. And I think it's all, that fine line between really being social and still remaining the authority. So that was really, really a great opener for me. I also enjoyed the different ways of following up in this particular case, using more video. And I think that's one of the things I was not necessarily focusing on. So just in the past, I've been in business for almost 5 years, as you were saying, and I was mostly selling B2B, and coming to sell on social sort of converts you to selling B2C, so I'm still finding my feet around that. Only just this year I was like, okay, here's my strategy for social, here's my strategy for content, and I'm really, really now only putting more content just so I've become very relevant in terms of what is it that I'm doing, And you know how it goes when you're talking sales, how people can actually start having conversations or really tracking their KPIs to grow their margins or, to their frequency, to increase their frequency and conversion rates. It still sounds like a foreign language. So I think it's that simplifying information that you really highlighted for me this evening. And that was quite big. I think B2C is something completely different. How do you make it so relevant, so relatable that it can easily be a conversation you're having with someone that you met at a bar, you said, or at a coffee shop, So yeah, I'm truly grateful for that. I mean, the different perspectives to the CTAs that you gave this evening for those follow-ups, amazing stuff.
I'm glad. Well, thank you so much for joining, guys. I think this has been amazing. Jessica, you want to take the lead?
Yeah, I want to agree with Sheila. For me, one of the things that I have thought was part of my superpower was being relatable and being friendly and that kind of thing. And I think and it's funny because I mentioned this to somebody not that long ago, is that I've noticed that people love to come to me for, to talk and to share and whatever, but they go to other people to buy, right? And, right? Yeah. And so I'm really starting to realize that it's because I haven't stepped into the authority. I try to stay in the friend zone, thinking somehow that that's going to make them want to buy from me. And it doesn't. It doesn't. So yeah, I need to step up and become that authority. So that was the big takeaway for me today, was it's like kind of got slapped in the face again with some reality, right? So yes, thank you very much for that one thing. I think that was the one that spoke to me the most. So yeah,
well, I'm so
appreciate
glad.
That.
Thank you so much, guys. I have put in the chat my contact details, DaphneThompson.com. If you guys would like to reach out to me, I would love to have a conversation with both of you, Rick and Sheila and Jessica, about your businesses and see how I can help and increase profits. How I help entrepreneurs is to increase profits. That's what I do.
Fabulous. Oh, Daphne, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and share this with me. Like I said, when you were on my podcast, Ignited Entrepreneurs, and we started talking about this, which was just one of the many things that we talked about, but it really hit me. It's like, no, this is important, and I think it's too overlooked. So I really appreciate you coming and sharing, because obviously both Rick and Sheila and myself got a lot out of it. So thank you so much. And for anybody who's interested, this whole thing that we're doing here is part of a community that I'm building. Currently, it's free to join. It's on a platform called Discord. And if you would like information on that, you can reach out to me. Just ignitedentrepreneurs@gmail.com is how you get in touch with me, and I will hook you up. I bring experts like Daphne to these interactive deep dives so that everybody has access and can ask their questions. So thanks, Daphne, so much for participating. I always get something from you. Like I said, the podcast was amazing. Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. I really appreciate it, because we've just met, and I just appreciate that you're an action taker. You saw the value in coming and sharing to my audience, and I really appreciate that. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, team, guys. I look forward to
speaking. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
And I think I would just reiterate about the friend zone. I think that is key. That's where we do best, because we want to build relationships, and we go so deep into getting so friendly with these people that, we are kind of backing up, and that could be a game changer there.
Definitely.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick, also for opening up and about your business and sharing. It was really eye-opening also, because it applies, the system applies in all businesses, so thank you. Thank you, Jessica, for inviting us, and Daphne, thank you once again.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick, where are you located?
I'm in Katy, Texas, right outside of Houston.
Okay. No, I was going to say, because I'm actually, my day job is we're in construction and we do hospitals. And I was going to say, send me your contact info, but I don't think that we're purchasing products out of the U.S. But if you want to at least send me some information, again, it's ignitedentrepreneurs@gmail.com. You just never know. So,
Sheila.
Right.
Sorry, Sheila. The email address is in the chat right above you. There we go.
Okay, I saw it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate it. And send me an email. I'll invite you in. And we have these kind of conversations going on about all sorts of things, just at least once a week. So we'd love to see all of you join us again. So thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.